Why won't you
games.
say it properly?
Friends who suck
I
around
actually, at this
games.
point, don't know what the actual words are.
Friends that play games.
Game friends who observe games from a distance, quietly looking at them like David
If that's the way
Attenborough.
you want to start this, then that's the way you should start this.
Yay! How's everyone doing? Hello, I'm Chris Slight. This is Game Friends, and we're going to talk about Microsoft's Xbox this week. But who are we? Who am I? You know, Chris Slight. But who are you over there?
It's like your brain just has words and throws them, doesn't it?
He's
Just
always
throws them
on.
out.
He's always on.
I'm always on.
Always on.
Stone Cold Pro.
I am Simon Chung.
And how about you there?
Ian.
Okay.
It's Ian.
Ian. That's different from last time.
Get on with it.
Okay. Who are you there?
Hi, I'm Steve McNeil. I'd just like to say, Chris, it's an honour to be here.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. No, thank you for having me. It means a lot. And it's great. It's just exciting to be with such cool people.
Why are you wanking while you're saying this?
Are we cool?
I think we're fine.
We cool.
Okay.
We cool.
Yeah, it's all good. Game friends. Friends who like games.
Fucking hell.
And they're going to play Xbox stuff this week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I never had an Xbox, so I'm off. Goodbye.
Oh, he's leaving.
Great start.
So, Microsoft,
Yes.
they made an Xbox.
They did.
They
An
what?
original Xbox. Do you remember the Xbox?
Nope.
Yeah.
I do remember the Xbox.
It was really good. 'cause-
Remember, it was named after the DirectX architecture,
Yes,
which
it
is
was.
such a fucking shit way to name something.
Oh, I was really excited because much like the Coca-Cola
Because
curtains...
they had adverts.
Yeah, much like the Coca-Cola curtains would imply, I, as a younger person, just liked Microsoft as a thing.
Jesus
Really?
I remember.
fucking
I remember.
Nobody liked Microsoft.
I remember
That's
signing
so
up to
weird.
like an email list that just sent me news about Microsoft from their
So
website,
strange.
and just being like, "Oh, Microsoft!" And I was so excited when I got a Dreamcast. I remember because it had Windows CE on it, and I didn't have a PC of my own, so I remember being super excited and being like, "I've got a Windows thing! Like this is so cool!"
I
Like,
love you, but that is fucking mental.
Like I remember being like when I got the keyboard for the Dreamcast just
Wow.
because it was close to having a PC
Wow.
of my own. I was like, this is amazing. And so when Microsoft announced they were doing a console,
What are you?
when Microsoft announced they were doing a console, I remember being super excited because I was just like, oh, Microsoft are making a console.
we could
Awesome.
probably play Minesweeper on it.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh my God, Chris.
But they announced it, and Bill Gates came out with that big silver X.
Yeah.
This is why he wanted to do an Xbox.
Oh, I can see
Just
that
so he
now.
could hear that story, wasn't it?
That's
Well,
not
when
the
else
whole
would
thing,
you
I've
tell
got
us?
more.
Exactly. He's been waiting this whole time to tell us this story.
That's
It's really good. It was like you remember when they announced it? That was
No.
an exciting
No.
time. Did none of you see that video? It was really cool.
It was a long time ago.
Oh, I remember it.
I was
Blazed
busy
in
playing
my
on
memory.
my PS2 or something.
I was always
or my
Nintendo,
PS1. Or...
Yeah, no idea.
I did have. I got the original Xbox purely for Burnout. I
Yeah.
can't remember which one.
Rather than Halo.
Oh, I don't give a shit about Halo.
Okay.
Not a shit. Burnout is one of the racing games because I like Mario Kart because
Sure.
you know it's a silly racing game. I don't like realistic racing games. Burnout was ridiculous.
I loved the
So
Burnout.
good.
I used
Yeah.
to love the Burnout series. I've more recently sort of lost what was awesome about it. I liked Burnout. What was the one? Was it Burnout 2 where you just went down a hill and just tried to jump things and crash a lot?
That sounds like
They
a lot
blend
of them.
into one in my brain.
Yeah, 3. I
Three
bought
was
it
of
for 3.
three was the one
Maybe
that
it's 3.
Yeah, 3
I
was
loved
incredible.
2. I absolutely loved 2, and I loved the first one as well. But 3 was the one where it just took it up a notch for me.
Yeah, Paradise as well was fantastic. But
I didn't like Paradise.
3
But we're getting distracted. We're
Sorry.
not here to talk about Burnout.
3
Here we are. It's on the
Oh,
Xbox.
right. All right.
is what I got my Xbox for, and then I can't actually remember a single other game I owned for it.
No?
No.
I got an original Xbox because I came back from probably Christmas break at university, came back to my house, and my flatmate was sat in his room playing, I don't know, something like Halo on his new Xbox that he'd got over Christmas. And I got annoyed because I'm the one who gets the consoles first, not you. You don't do this. He overstepped a fucking mark. So I had to go out and get an Xbox just so I could, redress the balance.
I mean, it's a podcast about Xbox, but it's really about like Ian and Chris's childhoods and what the
Yes.
fuck happened.
Do you want to
Yes.
know what my Xbox
Microsoft.
experience was? I was about to say, my thing was, I got an Xbox and I would take it round friends' houses with Halo and be like, look at this! And I would try and convince them to get one as well because I was like, Halo is so good.
You were even selling Xboxes. That's how corporate
How
you are.
did you manage to carry it anywhere?
That's another part
They
of it.
weigh more than
It
cars.
filled my entire backpack and I used to
course
walk
it
like
did.
across my entire town.
It was the
to my
least
friend's
actually
house.
designed thing
I-
ever.
it
They just got
wasn't-
components,
It's just
put them in a
desktop
box.
PC.
Yeah.
The way you kept throwing your hands in the air, then I thought you were going to say you like carried it on your head.
I carried it on
People
my
carrying
head.
rice or
No,
something.
I put it in a backpack and I used to walk all the way across the town of St. Neots from like literally one side of it to the other where my friend lived and we both play Halo.
You must
And
have been ripped.
I was ripped as hell. Like, I was studly and buff. It was
You must have been
amazing.
powerful enough to use that original pad that they released.
Oh, I
with
never
it,
had that.
That was
Yeah.
bigger than a car.
It was huge.
I really liked that pad.
I didn't mind it.
I liked it. I thought it was really comfortable in my hands.
See, I never
I
had
much
one of them.
preferred. I much preferred the smaller one.
Yeah,
but I was
that's what
fine
I
with the
got.
big one.
I thought the big one was all right. I didn't realise that was... Yeah.
I
They
never
changed
had
it because it was too big, like for international markets where I think it was kind of like the East where people tend to be smaller,
Sure.
smaller hands,
Yeah.
not as easy to hold a pad that's the size of a
It
newborn.
was a big pad. It
Yeah.
was.
And also, let's take about 4 hours to discuss the black and white buttons as the stupidest things
They
that have
were,
ever been on
yeah,
anything.
they were awful.
Oh yeah, I
That
forgot
was a
about those.
bad idea. That just didn't work. Like even because when I first got an original Xbox, it came with the S controller. The S controller had recently come out, and I got one bundled with Halo and some Microsoft driving game that I don't remember what it was called. It was like some sort of cartoony looking thing. I think I played it like once and never played it again. But like Motor Town or something like that. Anyway, it wasn't very good, but Halo was amazing. And I got the S controller, and they'd kind of tried to make those black and white
Yeah,
buttons a
they-
little bit less random, but
they
they were
put
still
them
just
in-
at the bottom, looking weird.
They put them in a more easy to use place.
Yeah, they were still weird though. It still made no sense. It was like, why is this a thing? Why not just have more triggers? As turned out would be the way.
The correct way to do it.
But I loved the original Xbox, and
I think I also had Conquer on it.
oh yeah,
I'm desperately trying to think of other games I had on my Xbox, and I can
Did they
literally think of
re-release it
Burnout.
on the first Xbox?
Yeah, Conquer's Bad Fur Day was
Yeah.
re-released on the Xbox.
Yeah, because it was Rare had moved over that.
Mm.
Or was that 360?
that was Xbox.
Was it Xbox?
I'm sure it was Xbox. Yeah.
Because that was one of their big acquisitions, wasn't it?
Of course it was, yeah.
Oh, what?
yeah,
Oh, yeah,
no,
yeah,
Yeah,
got-
because
they got
Grabbed
rid
by
of
the
it.
Ghoulies was
Yeah.
one of their first
Xbox
games.
Goalies.
Yeah.
A good game, Grabbed by the Goodies. I played
Never
that
had
on
it.
Rare Replay. I've never played it the first time around. It's actually really, really charming.
I never
it's a really
played
sweet
it.
little game.
I've got Rare Replay as well. I should probably give that one a go.
Grabbed by the Ghoulies is worth a go. If anyone's got Rare Replay, yeah, give that a go. It's a little bit of fun.
One of my most favoured memories of the Xbox.
I like how
period.
you're discovering every word you're saying this week. It's
Yeah.
really nice.
It's because
very
I've
soothing.
forgotten how to speak and I'm very tired. The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind.
Ooh.
Because I want my the same friend who bought the Xbox. He's called Ben. I'll give him a name drop at least. He had
will love it.
Morrowind on his PC, on his laptop. My PC, if I even had one at the time, my laptop, whatever, was not good enough to play it.
Yeah.
And then got the Xbox, and then Morrowind either was out or came out on the Xbox, and suddenly I could play it. And Christ, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours I've put into that game.
How old were you when Morrowind came out? Was this a university thing?
Morrowind came out about 2002, 2003, so 19, 20.
Yeah. Did you go to uni?
Yeah, yeah.
So
This
that's
is
just
this is while I was at
every
uni.
day,
Yeah. And yeah, so much time into it. I absolutely adore it to this day. And it was the Xbox that allowed me to play it for the first time. So, and it was also like, I mean, I know RPGs that existed on console for a long time, and I mean specifically like JRPGs are more of a console thing, blah blah blah. But this was like a Western PC RPG, and it was not one of the first times it had been on console. One of the first times a game like this had been on console. One of the first times it had been on console and been good and been playable. And that was also partly to segue into something else about Xbox, because Xbox finally nailed how to control first-person games. And that was thanks to Halo.
It was.
Because you go back to some PS2 games, like pre-Halo, and their dual stick controls are shit.
Awful.
They just make no sense whatsoever. And you wonder who designed this stuff and if they're hopefully dead yet or something.
Fucking hell.
Bungie,
What?
absolutely.
What? They deserve it.
No, all right, no, fair
They
enough.
deserve death.
Apparently so. Bungie absolutely revolutionised
nailed it.
first-person shooters
Yeah.
on consoles.
Yeah.
That was the first one I remember because I think I played like Doom and stuff like that on the PC that we had. But that was the first-person shooter that I really was like, whoa there, this is amazing. And yeah, they nailed it, 100%.
I'd been through, about a decade of trying to play first-person shooters on console,
it
and
didn't work.
you muscle through, especially when you're a kid and you've got more time to put into it and learn things. I played Quake 2 a shitload on the PS1 and Medal of Honor, the first bunch of Medal of Honor games and stuff like that. And, I had a lot of fun with them and stuff, but now looking back at them, it was like there's a pre-Halo and
It's like
post-Halo
GoldenEye,
world.
the N64, an amazing game that I spent hours on, but the controls are fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
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 Doesn't make any
At the time,
sense.
they made sense,
Yeah.
and it was all right and stuff, and you kind of struggled through.
Yeah.
But you didn't really realize you were struggling through, and then that's the pre-Halo world, and the post-Halo world was like, there was always a better way to do this, you twats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Halo was definitely, I think, the key IP. As
The first time I
people
saw
like
an
to call
Xbox,
it.
my brother-in-law got one for Christmas, I think, and that was the first time I saw the Xbox, and it was a game changer. It was like I didn't realise you could do that in a console. And it
Do you know? Trivia time.
fun. Hello.
Oh.
Who was the
It's
first?
about my brother-in-law because that'd be weird if it was.
Who was the first person to present Halo on stage, like to a
Bill
crowd?
Gates.
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs.
Uh,
Ah, see,
Shit.
you went for the obvious one, and he went
Yeah.
for the correct one. So it was originally a Mac game that was, I think, some kind of real-time strategy thing,
Yeah.
and eventually it changed and blah blah blah.
Yeah. Oh, well, there
History
you go.
took its course.
Fun fact.
Speaking of Halo, one of the most exciting hype times after Metal Gear Solid 2 for me was Halo 2. I've been so excited about Halo 2 and the whole viral marketing campaign they had, which now gone down in legend. I
That
love
was a good
bees.com.
marketing campaign.
Was that
Good lord, that was good. Me and my friend, who was the friend that I would go and play Halo with, he invested so much time trying to figure out ilovebees.com. It was a website that was called ilovebees.com, and it was all about a woman who was running a little blog about how she liked bees. But it was a bit weird, and nobody quite knew what was going on when it was first discovered, and these little random messages and weird bits of code kept popping up on it. And then it turned out via the telling of a story later down the line that it was an AI, much like Cortana in Halo, who had crashed into a planet and sort of merged with this website and was trying to communicate. And there was all sorts of amazing stuff, like it would bring up coordinates and a time that you had to go through all this bullshit to even figure out what these coordinates and times were. And people figured out on the internet, oh, this is a phone box in like a city in America, and they went there. You go there at that exact time, and it only happened once.
And there was a man waiting in there, and he just punched you straight in the face when you turned up and said, "Get a fucking life!"
It was awful. But yeah, and it would be like this little recorded message that they would, like, some of the people managed to like capture.
And this was, in context, this was like one of the first major viral marketing campaigns
Ever.
over the internet and
Yeah.
stuff, and it was really,
me and a
really
friend
cool.
invested so much time into ilovebees.com and figuring it out because it was
So was Halo
really
2,
cool.
was there quite a lot of bees in Halo 2 then?
I don't
was
think there were
not a
any
single
bees.
bee.
That's
in
weird.
Halo
So that's
2.
similar to what Ian was telling us about last week, how they advertised it in one way.
Yes.
But then it was different. So they advertised it as a bee game, but actually there weren't any bees.
No bees.
So they've
They-
not changed.
But they
No.
made up for it by releasing International Bee Simulator in 2003.
That
It was really
That was
good.
good.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Halo 2
Be a
had,
bee. That was the slogan, wasn't it?
Halo 2 had the "Finish the Fight" was Halo 2's slogan, and then you didn't finish the fight.
Oh, that was a. And again,
Oh, look, they did it again.
I've got a sad story of that being that it came out the night it came out. Like as soon as I'd finished, I was at sixth form at the time. I went round my friend's house and we were like, we're just gonna play it all weekend. And that's what we did. We played it and we hadn't finished it. And I went home and it was my Xbox. I went home and I was like, I'll play a little bit more, like 5-10 minutes. Played a little bit more. And then the classic end of Halo 2 happened, which is where it's like, but Chief, where are you going? He's like, I'm going to finish this fight. And I
That's
was
a
like,
decent
"Oh,
impression.
thanks." And I was like, oh, great. And then the credits came up and I was like,
Yeah.
What?
Hang on.
And I remember going onto MSN Messenger and being like, I've finished
How
Halo 2.
did this not scar you for life and make you hate them for doing things like that?
Because I really enjoyed it, other than that.
It was an active lie.
Well, right, so I would go
You
on
didn't
MSN
even
Messenger.
fight on Earth.
you, Chris.
Oh.
You did fight. Oh, no, it's Halo 3.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Anyway, I went on MSN
They
Messenger.
string you along so easily.
And I was like, I've finished Halo 2. My friend was like, what the fuck? What? We're meant to be playing that together. And I was like, I literally played it for like 10 minutes. Like, I
You didn't
finished
miss
Halo
much.
2. And he's like, what? And I was like, yeah, it just kind of stops. And I was like, it just
Oh, God.
literally, it's like he's holding onto this bomb and he's like,
Yep.
I'm going to finish this fight. And he goes off and then it's like credits. And then you had to wait for another console to finish that story.
Now you're getting annoyed.
That
There
was-
we go.
that was
When you think
crazy.
about
He's getting
it.
your crazy anger now. That's nice.
That was crazy.
But-
But the game was really
Yeah,
fun
great
and
game.
good.
Shit ending, shit marketing, blah blah
It
blah.
didn't even have an ending. That was the
But-
problem.
What
Whereas
about
the
the
Bee
fact
Simulator
that
thing tied it all up quite nicely.
fucking
The
love
Bee
bees.
Simulator did
Love
really
bees so
well.
much.
That's my
But-
fault. Sorry, I made a beep go out of my phone.
Oh, sorry.
As we all have to remember,
Mm-hmm.
there were actually other games on Xbox.
Oh well, some
so.
of
I'm
the games.
literally.
I think it was just the Halo
I'm
machine.
struggling to think of anything else.
I'm literally, you've caught me out Googling it, is one I found out. I was going, what the fuck else was on the original Xbox?
360.
Top
loads.
Spin
Oh,
Tennis.
360, I could talk about all
Top
day.
Spin Tennis
Tennis.
started on Xbox, and
Okay.
it was a great game initially
was
before it
good.
got really boring.
And that's it.
Yeah, that's about
The
it.
Knights of the Old Republic games.
Yeah, KOTOR. That was another one where I didn't have a PC good enough, and Knights of the
No.
Old Republic and 2 came out on the Xbox. And again, I spent so much fucking time on them.
Yeah.
And Legacy of Kain Defiance and lots of
Shenmue
multi-platform
2
ones.
was re-released on the Dream. On
Yeah,
the Dreamcast,
with
on the,
with the
Xbox.
DVD that had
Shenmue the movie.
the cutscenes
Yeah.
from the first
It
game.
was
in it.
basically-
Just Rio going around going, "Have you seen any sailors?
Welcome to Menmo Park.
I'm going to drive this forklift truck
God, that's
around,
good.
4 hours.
looking for
I
sailors."
loved it so much, but we're not talking about
I
Dreamcast.
see.
We'll talk
I
about
see.
Sega next time.
I see.
Yeah, it was
Ooh, I
amazing.
like that.
Yeah, we'll
Sega
do that.
would be good.
The,
Yeah,
the
that's cool.
Xbox did have some tie-ins though with the Dreamcast. It had like some kind of dream. It
They
had a
had a-
bunch of Dreamcasty games released on it and
Sega
stuff.
and Microsoft cut a deal.
Yeah.
They wanted, interesting fact that you probably already know because
course
you're
I do.
like me. They originally went to
not fair.
Microsoft, Sega, and said, can we just make Dreamcast games run on the Xbox? Can that be a thing? Because
Because it's broke.
yeah, because it's not. We're not making it anymore. But why don't we just make it so you can play them on this? And Microsoft was just like, nah. Basically,
What do you call it? Project Gotham.
Project Gotham was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really good game. I enjoyed that.
Never played
That was
it.
a lot of fun. It was a really good game. Really good driving game. But yeah, Microsoft had a deal with Sega where they were going to release a bunch of titles specifically on the Xbox. So that and Rare were probably two of the really big acquisitions for Microsoft at the time. Where it was like, ooh, they're getting Sega's games, and ooh, they're getting.
They were trying a
Rare's
lot.
Games.
It was a bit scattershot. It wasn't
It was.
hugely successful. I mean, I'm sat here racking my brain and I can't think of a huge amount of
No,
stuff
I mean,
that was
I'm-
like. There's the Halo stuff. The Dreamcast stuff was nice, but it wasn't great. Like Shenmue
No.
2 coming out on it, I don't really give a shit to be honest.
It was a weird choice.
A bunch of other things were.
Forza?
Yeah, Forza started on it, which
Yeah.
it was good,
No
but
one
I
cared. Like Project Gotham was more of a thing. Than
Yeah.
I
Forza.
didn't play Forza on the Xbox.
and yeah, it didn't have a huge impact, which is probably why Microsoft killed it after something like 3 years.
It didn't last. It was not long until a 360.
Surprise, surprise!
Yeah.
That really annoyed me.
Hooray!
This is we're like complete opposites. It's crazy. I remember being excited
But
because
people had spent hundreds of pounds on it, and then they just summarily executed it.
Like the Wii U that's just getting shafted, isn't
Yeah.
it? That's gone.
And yeah, again, it's
Yeah, it's a
business.
shame.
I understand how business works, blah blah blah. But it's still annoying from a human perspective.
I remember being excited purely because, and we'll move on to the.
As
Although one thing
opposed
I
to
do
a
want to touch
crisp
on
perspective.
about the Xbox was the Xbox Live, which
Oh yeah, that was great.
didn't
that's
really
awesome.
come into its own until the console we're going to talk about next. Which
But
is
I think the
360.
Xbox was a lot of examples of starting things.
Yes, 100%. They definitely much like because the using the internet was still a thing that in like I don't think we even had broadband.
We
felt
did
like,
have broadband, but it was like
I mean, like
people
I
were
didn't.
still on
There-
dial.
there was a-
It's 512 kilobyte broadband
Yeah.
and stuff.
proper broadband.
my household, I don't think had broadband at the time, but there was a broadband port on the back of the Xbox. Of course, you did. Simon Sean getting it done every
it.
day.
And another thing that it started was because they were quite easy to hack. You could the console emulators on it were really good.
Oh, really?
I was playing a lot of Amiga and Mega Drive games and stuff on my Xbox. And XBMC, Xbox Media Center, which still runs to this day, it's now called Kodi, is an absolutely brilliant like media app, like media center.
It had a
and
hard drive in
it's
it.
Wait, hold up. XBMC is called because of
Xbox Media Center.
Really?
That is where it started.
Well, that's blown my mind.
One of my friends at uni had his Xbox was hooked up not partly as a gaming machine because we play Halo on it every now and then, but mainly just as a multimedia hub that we just had, and he had it like
It
beaming
was
to
brilliant,
TVs around the
man.
house, and
That's one
that
thing
was
I just
fucking blowing my
remembered.
mind at
I've
the
always
time.
wondered what XBMC stood for. I never Googled it. Well, there you go. I've properly learned something.
See, I'm
today.
questioning myself now, but it was Xbox Media Center
Wow.
definitely.
There you
So
go.
The fact that it had a hard drive in it. I remember that was amazing.
Yeah,
I was
shit like
I
that
don't
was
need
really
memory cards.
forward-thinking.
And I could rip my CDs onto it, and there were certain games that like I could listen to.
That's why
Pantera
Burnout 3
on a thing.
Burnout 3, you could have your own soundtracks on it. And
Yeah.
that was one of the reasons I got it as well. It's like, shit, I could just have my
I
music
can
playing
remember
whilst
sitting there
I'm playing
naming all
game.
the tracks and going through it all.
Yeah.
Side note on that, I just discovered that the Spotify thing on the PS4 does that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah, it's really
imagine everybody else knew that already,
Yep.
but
Yeah.
that blew my mind.
It's good, isn't it?
But the problem is, if you don't have premium, you get the twats going,
Oh,
yeah, Spotify.
Yeah.
I'm already listening to it, you dick.
Yeah, Ian's right.
Should we 360?
Well, yes, we will,
Whee!
because I was going to say that where you were like, oh, this
Oh,
is
I'm
annoying.
I'm dizzy now.
I
Like the
remember
Egg.
being really excited because it was sort of like they took all the things that were problems about the original Xbox, like the two black and white buttons that were really crappy, and we're like, well, no, we fixed that. It's just two shoulder buttons now. It's much more useful, isn't it? It's like, yeah, they made it look amazing. Every little thing about it that was like, oh, I didn't like that about the original Xbox. That was a little bit annoying. They were like, oh, we fixed all of that. And
Yeah,
like, how
they-
do I take my saves round to my friend's house in a world where I'm not uploading things to the internet like now? Oh, the hard drive just comes off, take it round your mate's house. And it was like, brilliant.
Yeah, the first one was made by engineers and the second one by designers.
Yes,
So
100%.
it was actually, they learned from the mistakes, which is bizarre.
Rare.
And yeah, I remember them announcing one thing in particular that when they announced it, you look at the 360 now and it is quite a large, unwieldy machine, the original one, not the slim one they released later. But at the time, it was so beautiful and slim compared to the original Xbox.
Yeah.
And they had it curving in. So it was
Designed
like an
around-
optical illusion to make it look even thinner than it was.
Designed around breathing in is the inspiration behind its design.
I hate that.
Yeah, me too. that's its inspiration is
And the difference between one of their head engineers or whatever, he was Jay Allard, between the original Xbox and
Jay
Xbox
Allard.
360. Original Xbox, he was just like a, I don't know, fat balding nerd. And by the time 360 came out, he was their front man with his like cool designer jackets, and he was really skinny, and like he'd do all his presentations, and he was like a bit like a hipster and blah. And it was so funny to think that like he'd been dragged into a room and just beaten to look right for the 360 image. And, stop being a nerd.
Yeah, the 360 is, with the original PlayStation, probably one of my favourite consoles ever.
I think its controller is my favourite controller.
My favourite controller ever.
It's a
I love
brilliant-
Yeah,
controller.
absolutely. And for platforming games, I just think it's unreal. Like I've just got Super Meat Boy on the PS4.
Yeah.
Can't play it. The controller is just no good. But the 360's controller, I absolutely love more than Xbox One's pad. Xbox One's pad's bollocks.
The bumpers on that. Anyway, we'll get to that.
Yeah, we will.
get to that,
But the
don't you
360's
worry.
pad was my favourite.
It just
favourite
felt
pad.
the most comfortable in my hands out of
Yeah,
any game
and-
controller ever.
And it totally fed into my. I like collecting things, and achievements were introduced to me.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
man, I was
Yeah.
all over achievements.
As was
It's
I.
a way of just rubbing it into someone's face rather than like on, I don't know, like playing Mario previously. Like, oh well, I have finished Mario 3 actually,
and
but there's
ju-
no proof. But now there is.
But just a lovely example of how Microsoft were just nailing it when PlayStation was struggling is
Yeah.
the whole achievements thing compared to trophies, which is just
trophies are still bollocks.
trophies is just horseshit. as well.
PSN
I don't want
compared
to
to
sync
Xbox Live
anything
in
to find out
general.
how I've done at a game I played on this console.
Yeah.
I find it
PSN
ridiculous.
compared to Xbox Live, because this is the time that internet and me on consoles were being friends. I could get a Wi-Fi adapter for the Xbox 360. We had broadband, we
I
had
had one of
Wi-Fi.
those. Yeah.
And I could now go online with a console, and it was absolutely amazing.
You should do
Xbox
air
Live,
quotes when you say online.
I could go online. Why am I quoting online?
You did air quotes under the table. Then I saw you.
Yeah, you totally did.
Oh, I didn't even know I was doing it. I was wondering why you was asking me to do it. I was like, why? Why?
Because
you
it's
hiding them?
funny. Never question me.
Fair play. But I remember being like blown away by the idea that I can just sit and play Gears of War with my friend.
Oh, Gears of War.
And he's somewhere else. Oh, Gears of War is good. One of the first games I got for the Xbox 360 when I got it was Dead Rising, and I didn't have a HD TV.
The text,
the
you
writing.
couldn't read it.
So I couldn't read it. I had to take it back. I was just sat there and was like, oh. And then the slow realization to anyone that doesn't know, when it came out, it was clearly programmed by everyone had just used HD TVs.
Yeah.
But this was still a time when some of us didn't have HD TVs.
Loads of us still didn't have
Yeah.
HDTV.
And
The
it was like-
original 360 didn't even have an HDMI port, did it?
No.
Nope.
The very first one didn't, no.
Component.
Yeah.
Component.
Component.
Yeah.
Component.
It could be worse, Chris. You could have bought your 360 purely for Sonic the Hedgehog, like I did.
Oh, Jesus
God.
Christ.
That was the
Fuck
worst decision I've
me.
ever made.
Christ.
Yeah.
It wasn't because I got a 360 out of it, but yeah. I
You also
should-
got Sonic the Hedgehog 4.
Oh, I was so excited for that.
It wasn't good.
How long did that excitement last?
I played through it.
Sonic
so
2006.
I forced myself to enjoy that game.
You
I
completed
hated it. Yeah.
Christ.
Absolutely
Simon,
hated it.
when we do a Sega special, the Sonic
The Hedgehog love.
devotion will run
Oh,
deep.
I love Sonic,
Yeah, it's not as
but
good as Mario, is
not
it?
that one. No. But yeah,
Not at all.
easily summed up as no.
Yeah, the Xbox 360 definitely nailed a lot of things, and Xbox Live was definitely one of them. That once I had Xbox Live, it's not been a case of ever not being online with a console ever since. Playing games online with people and friends, and the idea of playing games online with strangers was crazy. But I had
I still don't like that.
I got in on that because one, you could set the Xbox 360 to never hear anyone, like as just a default on every single game.
Yeah.
You could also set default little things in the Xbox 360 were brilliant. You could set a default to just invert my controls whenever I turn it on.
Ugh.
My controls are inverted, which was great.
Wait, do you?
I like inverted controls too.
Oh.
Let's not fall out over there.
It's too
I
late.
don't.
Too late.
No.
But let's talk about bad things because I like bad things.
Well, before we do talk about bad things, though, we should just at least because there's so many good things about the Xbox 360. Like, literally one of my favorite consoles, and some of the best gaming times I have ever had has been on the Xbox 360.
All right, calm down.
It's one
I
of
thought
my
you were
favorite
going to say
consoles
something
ever.
of note there, not just
No, he's not.
blather on.
No, he's not.
Oh, all right. Well, you carry on then.
The problem with it was that you had to pay to go online on the Xbox 360.
What's-
Right.
Oh, of course you didn't.
PS3,
get
you
the
didn't have
edition.
to. It was
But it
free.
didn't work very well either. Was the problem with that?
I never had issues with it.
I don't think I've ever had issues either.
Slow downloads and the interface
Yeah.
was shit and blah
that
blah
was
blah.
my only
But
problem with it. I didn't mind paying £40 a year.
actually
for it to
playing
just-
online, I never had any issues.
I never
with.
had any problems with it. Yeah, because I had a PS3 before I had the Xbox 360. I got given the Xbox 360 because a company made me redundant, and they said, "Sorry, we're making you redundant." I said, "That's all right. As long as you get me an Xbox, it's fine." And they did, which was fucking
Oh, that's
ridiculous.
all right.
Yeah, and they paid me off. That was nice.
Hooray!
I'm distracted.
Hush money, hush money.
But I had the PS3 first, and
Yes.
that was free and online. That was all very, very fine. And then I got this Xbox 360 and went to play online, and I found out I'd got to give them fucking money. And I found that very, very strange. Although obviously I'm just used to it now with PS Plus and everything.
Would you say the 360 was probably one of the consoles that really brought indie games?
Yep.
to the
Yeah,
forefront?
I loved all that
Yep.
stuff.
Yeah, I mean, around the period of Super Meat Boy and
Super Meat Boy.
Braid, and
Yeah,
basically
Castle
the games
Crashers.
on Indie Game the movie.
Yes, yeah.
It did kind of set the standard for this new old wave of, because indie games aren't new.
No,
but
they're not.
The popularity of them and the way they were being made and stuff was new, and Microsoft really supported it and really did well with it.
They
Yeah.
definitely played a huge part in the indie scene becoming the thing.
They
that it
put
is
money
now.
behind it and they marketed it.
Yeah,
and, you
it was
know,
right there. You turned your Xbox, went to the Xbox Marketplace, and there was.
You want a
Super
cool
Meat
game
Boy.
for £3?
Or there was Braid, and it was like, "Do you want to just get this?" And it was like,
Yeah.
it's
And
like
the-
about £10. Oh, all right, I'll give it a go."
And free demos for everything as well. That was
Yes.
amazing.
Yep.
Sorry, Ian, you were going to say
No,
that.
the Xbox Live Arcade stuff just in general, like when they were releasing Contra and Speedball 2 and Sensible World of Soccer and all this kind of stuff. And it was just the kind of thing that I'd been wanting for so long.
Yeah.
Because I've always played like emulators and stuff, but they're a legal grey area, which you have to say when you write for professional places. Fuck off. But if you release something professionally and say, give us a few quid for it, here's an old game you remember, I was perfectly happy to do that. And they did that, and it was fantastic. And then obviously the PS3 came and followed in its wake. But it was like the 360 that kind of set the precedent for that. It had happened before, but not digitally. And,
No,
yeah.
not as well as I love the
Yeah.
Dreamcast had.
It was just so well
online,
done.
but yeah, the Xbox 360, I think, completely nailed and
But
set the
the
template for it.
sorry, the thing I was saying before with problems was just, I wanted to ask a question. Did any of you suffer the Red Ring of Death?
I did.
I did.
I did.
I did once.
Only
I did
the
not, 'cause I
once.
came to it
Just
quite
two
late.
of you.
I did.
I got a launch machine. Did it die? Yes, it did. So yes, I did.
Did it get sorted out? Because mine got
First gen.
quite easily sorted out by Microsoft.
So mine was a launch console, and after they discovered the problem on it, they said because you automatically get a 12-month warranty on anything you buy, and they said we will extend it to 3 years.
Yeah.
As a gesture of goodwill. That was really good of them. Mine died. I rang up support, and the guy said, he got my serial number and everything, and he just kind of started laughing a little bit, not in a haha you're a dickhead way like I laugh at you, Chris, but just in a this is ridiculous way. And he was like, yeah, you're about 4 days over the 3-year cutoff point. I was like, what? And he was like, well, you can send it to us to get fixed, but it'll cost you like 75 quid, blah, 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 blah. I ended up selling it as broken, getting like 50 or 60 quid for it, and just buying a new one from like Simply Games or something, like the basic pack, which is still alive to this day, and just kind of piecing it together and ended up, instead of spending 75 quid for it to be fixed, like my net spend was about 30 quid. So, fuck you, Microsoft.
That's what happened to I had the original one. It broke outside its warranty as well, but I got the Elite. I think the Elite had just come out as well.
I had a US Elite. I had 2 Xbox 360s at one point, a UK and a US model, because not every game was region free, but some were, and there were some games that I wanted to play that I could get cheaper American and stuff like that. So I had that for a while as well. I forget about these things because the 360 was alive for so long, especially compared to the original Xbox.
Compared to all other console generations.
When did it come out? Like 2005?
2004, 2005-ish, yeah, I'd say so. And it lasted...
2005.
I think it was about...
End of 2005. It was like December
years.
2005-ish.
Well, actually, they're still releasing games for it to this day.
Yeah.
New games.
New COD's coming out on it, although
Yeah.
not campaign, but let's not go down that kind of shit.
But
Mine's still sitting down right behind you there, Steve, actually.
and kind of
There it is.
Xbox
Little
360.
guy.
kind of blundering back a few minutes to the HDTV and blah blah blah.
Yes.
The 360 is the reason I bought an HDTV, and
Yeah, me too.
the specific game being Gears of War, because
Mine was Burnout.
I was so excited for it, which doesn't happen often. I know it's hard to believe. I wanted to play it like the best I could. When the best I could was a 300 quid HDTV from a brand called Teco.
Oh, I remember Teco. I worked in Curry's. I sold that shit all day long.
It was a really good TV. It lasted me a long time. It's only like 720p and stuff, but yeah.
It's HD
Unless you've got a massive TV, it doesn't make any
Yeah, I mean, I have now. Obviously, I've got.
Well, you're
TV from
you're a
the
big
future
deal
or something
Of course
now.
Yeah.
You're a baller.
But
He's a
yeah,
baller.
and then playing Gears of War for the first time and just being like, well, I've played enough first-person shooters. I've played enough third-person shooters. I've played 1,000,001 games where I'm some badass shooting aliens and there's gory and all this kind of stuff. But good God, this is one of the best games I've ever played.
Yeah.
it was
Fucking
amazing.
blew my mind.
And I think the first one, I don't know if I'm just remembering it through rose-tinted glasses, but I still think it looks really good.
Yeah.
Still.
Good looking game.
Yeah.
It's aged, but it still looks great.
Yeah.
I came to it really, really late because I had the PS3 and then eventually got this Xbox 360 and picked up Gears of War. And it was a really good looking game. Even then, I was probably a few years into the life cycle when I picked it up, but it still looked great. Mass Effect's the other game that we haven't
Oh,
talked about
yeah. How could I forget that?
yet. Yeah.
Mass Effect.
Mass Effect was...
Mass
I enjoy.
Effect.
Mass Effect's
I only
always one of
played the
those
first one.
games that I don't love, but I've played all of 2 and 3 a couple of times.
You've not played the first one?
No, because I tried and it was too fiddly. I couldn't be doing it. When
That
they
was-
just went, we're going to make it more of a shooter, I was on
Yeah,
board.
the first one was like bridging the gap from things like Knights of the Old Republic
Yeah.
and Baldur's Gate, and things like that. And then they did make it, more shooty. To the point, I think they took it a bit far with the third one, where it was basically just a shooter with some chatty bits
2
in it.
is spectacular.
But 2 is just one of my favourite games. I mean, the trilogy in general, like, people were let down by the ending and blah, blah, blah. But I had about 300 hours fucking loving it. Again, going back to that kind of sci-fi that I love, that was a love letter to this golden age of sci-fi stuff. And I just fucking love I cannot wait for the next one. Anyway.
I got too intimidated with Mass Effect. 'Cause
Don't be afraid. It just wants to be a friend.
it does,
You can
but
totally
there's
just
so...
jump on it too.
It's
I
well,
do.
I've played one. I've played one all the way through. I played half of 2, but I have to find it with any open world game that when there's this many choices, I'm given so much choice. I'm really intimidated and I don't know where to start.
No, I know what you mean.
And it freaked me out a little bit, so I never carried on with 2.
How'd you get on with Skyrim and things like that?
I haven't.
Yeah, right, okay.
Yeah, they scare me too much.
What about? I'm just thinking of all the Xbox 360 games that are coming back to me. Like
Well, I was
Bioshock
gonna
was
s-
another one.
It's
The
almost
original
a decade's
Bioshock.
worth of games, isn't it?
But there's so many exclusives.
Do you
I mean, I
remember
know they.
playing the original Bioshock?
I nearly
for the
missed my
first
flight.
time?
We were going on holiday to, I think, Portugal, myself and some friends when I lived in Leeds. And Bioshock arrived that morning, and I was playing it, and I was playing it, and I was playing it,
Yeah, man.
and I was playing
Ooh.
it, to the point where one of my housemates was just like, no, came in, turned the console off. We have to fucking go
Jesus.
now. Because I was just like, no, just a bit more, just a bit more. I'm doing my Pipe Mania puzzle to hack through this door.
that way.
People complain about that. I fucking love that.
I liked it too. I really liked
love
that.
Pipe Mania though,
Yeah.
so what do you expect? But yeah, Bioshock was just
Bioshock was
incredible.
amazing. Landmark in the first-person shooting genre, which I love the most. And yeah, it was brilliant. And another game that people don't talk about as much, but it was the game I played on the Xbox 360 that I remember thinking like, Jesus, this is a new generation of consoles, which was
Viva
The Darkness.
Pinata. Oh.
I did play Viva Pinata. I enjoyed it, but The
absolutely
Darkness,
love The Darkness.
it was absolutely
Really good game.
brilliant. The Darkness.
And you could watch all of, what was it, To Kill a Mockingbird?
You
or
could sit
something.
there and watch all of that with
Yeah.
your girlfriend. Yeah.
And I'm not going to do it, but I could do a decent impression of The Darkness.
Go on.
Do it.
No,
Do a Mike Patton.
Do
my
it.
throat's a bit broken. And
Do
it hurts
it.
to do it. I can't.
Do it.
No.
He's just not going to do it now.
Yeah.
I'm scared now. There's too much.
Okay, but I remember playing that and like
You've
that
talked
was good.
over it.
That wasn't bad. That
That's
was
fine.
sort of,
I've
A
not
little
played
bit.
The Darkness,
Sort of
so
a
that
Donald
was just
Duck
Gollum
Darkness.
to me.
Yeah.
I can do Gollum as well.
yeah, it was absolutely stunning. And I remember,
That's pretty
Oh.
fucking good, actually.
that's a good goal.
Yeah. That's you for the rest of the episode now.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, it was really good. The Darkness, though, I really enjoyed that game. Like that, like I said, that was the first one that was like, this is the new generation of consoles. This
Like
is
Viva Pinata.
like Viva Pinata.
That was-
I love Viva Pinata.
I really
The-
like Viva Pinata.
Filled
Great.
with fun. Do you remember the Viva Pinata
with
cartoon that
fun.
they
I
made?
do.
No?
They brought it out. They released it as a download on 360. I don't know if it was
missed
on any networks or
It was
anything,
on
but it
Cartoon
was
Network, I believe.
Right.
okay. And it was an animated one.
downloading
I
it.
watched like one episode of it or something. I still remember
Same.
the theme tune.
Viva Pinata.
Filled with fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was really good.
Pinata.
Mm.
Yeah.
That was good. Yeah, but that was because it was amazing that I could download things onto my console and watch them. That was amazing in and of itself at the time.
What else did I play on the Xbox? Oh, I played all of Final Fantasy 13.
No.
You're so
the
happy
only-
about that.
It's the only Final Fantasy game
Oh,
I've ever
but
played.
it gets good after 20 hours.
It doesn't.
30.
No, this is-
I
this
got,
is-
Everyone
what
said
happens is you
30.
play 20 hours, realise it doesn't get any better, and you're like, well, I've got to carry on just to make it seem as though it does.
The point where people say that the 20-hour point on that is you get to a particular map that is just a lot larger than previous
Oh,
maps you've been on.
bullshit.
And they're like, oh, it's like an open world. And it's not an open world.
No.
It's just a bigger map.
No.
I played that to completion. That fucking Leona Lewis song on endless
Oh!
loop for the rest of my life.
Awful.
That's going to
13.2?
play at my fucking funeral. I mean, I actually want it to play.
You want it to.
Yeah.
Noted.
Yeah,
13.2
thank
I
you.
did enjoy. I did enjoy it. I liked the combat.
13.2, I went to Japan to see.
No.
I got to see the first ever viewing of the TV advert for it that they'd shown to people from outside of Square Enix.
Yeah.
And I was at the back of the room really, really trying hard to stifle my laughter because it was one of the worst things I'd ever seen.
Oh no.
I felt like a shit, obviously, because I'm not a psychopath, but it was very bad and I did laugh at it.
Oh dear. I just liked it too. I just liked the fighting. I
But
thought
yeah, it was a
more-
decent game. It wasn't as bad as, like, it kind of just got ignored. And
Yeah.
it didn't really deserve that because I think it was better than 13.
Mm.
But yeah, all this kind of stuff like Final Fantasy coming to a different console that wasn't PlayStation was a new thing for Xbox and whatever. It's another one of those things that they started, I suppose.
Because there's one that possibly the biggest thing with the Xbox 360 that we haven't talked about, possibly the biggest success, was the Kinect.
Oh wow, yeah, that was so
That
good.
did really well.
Project Natal or whatever the fuck it was
It
called.
was Project
Yeah,
Natal.
Project Natal
Milo and
with
Kate.
Milo.
My,
Yeah.
whatever
Help me,
happened
Kate!
to
I'm
Milo?
trapped in this TV.
Peter Molyneux
Forever.
killed him. That's what happened to him.
This
Yeah.
is Milo. Do you like my turtleneck? Milo does.
Oh.
Be honest though, the first time you saw that video, it was fucking amazing. When she was like, "Look at the drawing," and he's like, "That's a really cool drawing," and took it off the screen and looked at it. I remember seeing that The subsequent Kinect that came out was awful, but I remember seeing that video and just be like, Jesus, this is the future. Look at this.
It doesn't do that.
No, it's not going to work.
You can be on a shit
Classic
roller coaster and
Microsoft
dodge
again.
coconuts.
It's a
kind
fucking
of. Like, yeah.
it's a fucking webcam.
If you've got a massive lounge,
Yeah, it works then.
Did you the peripheral they released for that boat game that was literally a boat?
yeah, amazing.
The Kinect was
That wasn't a
crap.
Microsoft thing, to be fair, but still, yeah.
The Kinect still
Yeah,
is
Kinect
crap.
was
I
awful.
was I at? I think I was at Imagine Publishing when Kinect was released, so it was they had the big push of all the games that came with it.
All the big hits.
So-
we all remember them, don't we? All the big Kinect
Oh,
games.
yeah.
So for a time,
Kinect
people
Those
Adventures.
purple box ones,
we
those
were
are
all
the best.
having to play them and review them. Me, not so much. I was on a PlayStation magazine, but when I was
Thank
freelancing, I had to. And of all of them, Dance Central.
Mhm.
I think it was
Dance
was it
Central
Harmonix
worked
who
really
made it?
well. Yeah.
It was really good.
Oh, I don't know
Is
if
that
it
the
was
one
Harmonix
with
that
Darth
made it,
Vader
but-
dancing in it?
No, that's Star Wars Connect.
No.
Yeah.
Could be worse, Ian. You could have bought
Which,
a
to be
Kinect
honest,
to play Sonic
the dancing
Riders.
You
part.
can't both
Jesus
talk at the same time.
Christ.
That won't
Sorry,
work.
Stop
Yeah.
buying Sonic games.
The dancing part of Star Wars Connect, because it was just the that game's engine,
Yeah.
actually
Really
was
good.
probably the best bit. I mean,
Dance Central was very, very
Dance
good.
Central was very well made. That worked.
That was
I
the
re- I
reason a
remember-
lot of people bought the Kinect.
Yeah.
For
I
that.
remember reviewing like Dance Central 3 or something and loaning the Kinect from work, because obviously I didn't buy one because I'm not an idiot.
Sure.
Well,
That's not why you're an idiot.
wedging it into like as far back on the wall as I could, balancing on the top of my TV in my room, pushing my sofa all the way back to the back wall,
Standing in the
and
hall.
almost leaning against it, kind of standing half on it,
Yeah.
and it just being like, now you're just about far enough away. So trying to like dance with one leg up on a sofa and halfway around, my sofa blocking my door, so if the Kinect exploded and caused a fire, I would have died. I know that would have made you all very sad.
Well, this would never have happened.
It would, just with an empty chair. But yeah, just it's a comical memory. Really enjoying the game, but also going through such a physical effort to make it work in the first place, because I lived in. It wasn't even a small flat. It was just.
Well, no one had the amount of distance between their TV
They
and
needed
their
like
sofa
6
that
foot
that
or
thing
something.
wanted. It was-
About 190 centimetres for those metric measurements.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous, and me being in my parents' house still in a tiny bedroom.
Crying
was-
every night.
Well, I was all right, but no, it was never going to be a thing. And then it turned out all the games were balls anyway, and it didn't work. So it was kind of like, oh well, never mind.
And yet, if I may be so bold, they stuck with it. And to segue through to our third Xbox.
Oh, I do have a couple more 360 things,
I
but
know you had your chance, Chris.
Did I?
no,
Oh.
brilliant. Yeah,
Go on then.
No, it's all right. Go on.
very quickly, The Walking Dead. I played on the Xbox 360.
See,
Absolutely
the
astounding.
console has been alive, still is alive for so bloody
Yeah.
long. I forget. My mind doesn't associate games like that with that anymore, because to me now that is the past generation.
Yeah,
And it's just so confusing because it went on so long.
it did. Borderlands 2.
I'm more confused
love
by
Borderlands.
the non-console exclusives that Chris is listing after I so brilliantly segued us through to the Xbox One.
You did segue brilliantly,
Talk
but I
about
am
Creed
gonna,
as well, Warrior. Fuck me. This is
I'm gonna
awful.
pile on.
No.
Halo
That's
Reach,
it.
probably the
Halo
best
Reach was
Halo
very good.
on the Xbox 360. Absolutely love
They
that
did the team
one.
thing well as well.
They did.
They did the story well as well.
It was a
They
good
did
story.
marketing well as well.
What was the
They did the
marketing
shooting
for?
well. As
They
well.
did do the shooting very
Something well as well.
well. Yeah.
La 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 well as well.
That was very good. But anyway, back to Steve's brilliant segue. That was,
Well,
it's
as well.
Fucked it.
it was really good. It was great.
Batman, that was on all the consoles as well.
It was.
I first played Arkham Knight on 360 and adored it.
No, you didn't. Did you?
I loved not Arkham Knight, sorry,
I was gonna
Arkham
say-
Asylum.
Yeah, I did as well. That was
Adored.
Yeah, that was
brilliant.
pretty good.
Downhill
Yeah.
after that, but what can you do?
I liked the second one.
I
Second one was alright, but it wasn't. I didn't enjoy it as much.
I
as
like
the
the
first
claustrophobia
one.
of the
openness.
first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the openness doesn't work for me. For me, it has to be a linear thing for Batman because I don't give a shit about Batman. He's boring. Rich guy, really hard, kicks shit out of people.
Oh wow.
Not a Batman fan.
Not a Batman fan.
Barry Batman.
Barry Batman and Stevie Spiderman. They're all buddies. But the Xbox One definitely did persist with the Kinect, to the point where
Nice.
originally it was going to like force you to have it. And
It did force you
and
to
this
have
was
it.
the mad thing about when the Xbox One was announced. It was like, do you remember what they did with the Xbox 360, where they went, let's take all the things wrong and fix them, and
We spoiled it again.
Do you know what we're going to do? We're going to take things away from the Xbox 360. We're going to just make it bad now, is what apparently our plan is.
I am enough of a cynic that a part of my brain believes they did that on purpose just so they could go back on everything and then later on down the line
of course
say,
they can.
well, no, but
They're
we are
doing it now.
we're listening to our fans and we're actually going to do it like this. But one thing that they reneged on that I was a bit kind of on the fence about was how it was something about the discs were like tied to your console.
Yeah, you couldn't have second-hand discs.
Yeah, you couldn't have second-hand discs, which was bullshit and shouldn't have happened. But the thing that they were trying to push, which they didn't really say much about or didn't really get the message across, was that they wanted it so when it was attached to your console, you didn't have to have the disc in. Yeah. You could put the disc in and it would be like
cool.
the data would be on your console and you wouldn't have to have it.
Because they did a lot of stupid stuff by just being like, forget all of it.
I'm an extraordinarily lazy person. I don't want to be getting up and changing discs and stuff because, you know, I just want to lay there. And that was a good idea wrapped in a bad idea. Whereas other things were just downright bad ideas like Necessary Connect and
Do you notice how
Mandatory Connect.
they've recently announced that you're going to be able to like access a little menu that brings up like your friend lists and stuff like that while you're in a game without just going back to the main screen? And they're telling us that like that's great, and like that wasn't in the Xbox 360 since like a year or so into its lifespan.
That's
Yeah.
it's
That's
rule one of
crazy.
marketing. Everything you're selling is great.
Yeah.
I know, but it's just like I do remember that was a thing on
Rule
the
two
last
of marketing.
console.
Rule two of marketing. You don't remember.
Oh, I don't know.
But
True.
it has basically lost already, hasn't it?
I mean, it's definitely it's not lost.
I
They
don't
have done-
think it has because the PS3 pulled it back so much last generation. There is precedent for something.
It pulled it
to
back,
be
but
on the
it
back
pulled
foot.
it back very late in the game.
Not
Like,
really.
I wouldn't have said the
pulled
PS3.
it pulled it back much earlier than people really realise.
Oh really?
The
Was it
sa-
pulling it back even though
because
it looked
because
like it wasn't?
so much of like the sales figures and all
Yes.
that kind of crap were heavily biased towards US figures. The 360 was always ahead of the PS3 in the US. The rest of the world it was not.
Everyone
Yeah.
I knew had PlayStation. That's why I bought.
It
PS3,
was
not
in Europe. The PS3 was dicking on the 360. In Japan, the Far East, etc., the Xbox just had no presence.
Oh no.
And so, quite after 2 or 3 years, the PS3 had kind of at least leveled, if not overtaken, the 360 on sales and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was just the popular conception, which I wrote an article about this quite recently. The popular conception, which was based on like US media, US sales figures, all this kind of stuff. It was just very Americentric, and that kind of coloured the discussion and coloured the perception of how it had done. The PS3 hadn't done as badly as people thought. It had done a hell of a lot better than they did. This is not about the PS3, though.
It's not, but the Xbox One, I wouldn't say the Xbox One has lost.
No,
at this
I still
stage.
think he's got a fighting chance
I
because
do.
they're making all the right
But then
noises.
it's kind of like I don't think so much anyone's worried about winning. I think sustainability is
Yeah.
kind of a big thing.
They're
for a
still
lot of these
they've still
people now.
sold they've still sold millions of units.
Yeah,
and they
they're
will be
still
selling
doing
millions
fine.
of copies of games. And the backwards compatibility, which will be pretty much on or about a week away by the time we release this, is a great move. Like
It makes, it's a
the-
thing that
the
from
games-
working in retail, I remember it being a big thing that everyone that come in be like, oh, because that was the case with the Xbox 360 and originally the PS3 and stuff like that. That was like, you can play your old games. Oh, cool, great, that's great. And then people would come in and say, oh, does it play the old games? No, neither of them do. PS4 or the Xbox One, and everyone would reply, well, that's shit, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was like. Yeah, and it was another mad thing about the Xbox One, which was like, and now they're doing it, but it was just like, why did you not just do that originally? Why are you acting like you're giving me a bonus by
that
giving me
one-
something that was in the old console?
that one I'm not so cynical about. That one I think they genuinely misjudged. I think they just got it wrong and
Yeah.
they realised and they've moved to make it right.
Oh, that is
And-
the thing I will say for
and they've done
Microsoft,
really
yeah.
because Phil Spencer now, the guy who's in charge, I talked to him face to face, and he's one of the few executives of these major multinational corporations I've met who I actually believe when he talked to me. Like, I was speaking to a Sony guy last week, and I just was falling asleep during the interview. It was all marketing bullshit that I couldn't give a shit about. Phil Spencer was hitting me with all marketing bullshit, but wrapping it in a nice wrapper of conversation and discussing about games and making jokes about things and stuff and appearing human. And I understand from what I've been told, he's been at Microsoft forever. He really genuinely gives a shit, not just about Xbox, but about gaming. He likes games.
Why
he loves
was
games.
brought in.
Yeah,
I remember that being a big thing for his appointment was like, oh, he does give a shit about this and he really wants to turn
it's
it around.
starting to show with things like that because they didn't have to do backwards compatibility
Didn't
at
have
all.
to, no.
There was an initial irritation, annoyance when it was said, oh, no, it won't have that. And people kind of forgot about it, which is why it was such a surprise when they announced it at E3, whenever it was. And yeah, it's a great move. And saying you don't have to pay for your games again is a nice little dig against Sony.
Yeah, that was
all that kind of shit. It's
their thing.
Yeah,
Well, and PS Now is horrible.
Yeah, it's awful.
It doesn't work.
We've discussed PS Now in
Yeah.
great detail as to how terrible that was.
Yeah.
See episode 6. But yeah.
But
The Xbox One is definitely a nice console. I definitely play on it quite a bit, but it certainly felt like it felt more like when the PS3 came out and they went, it's £1 million and you're gonna get it, and it was like, no, I'm not. I'm gonna get the one that costs £200 less that all my mates are also getting. It was like, oh. And Sony did take a little while longer, which again, to Microsoft's credit, they are definitely quite quickly being
very
like,
quickly, yeah.
oh God, oh that man's fired. Oh God, we've got this new man and he's much better and we're going to try and change absolutely everything a lot quicker so you buy this thing because that's what we want.
I'm just
Whereas
remembering
Sony's been
Don
like,
Matrick and wanting to die a bit.
yeah,
He was terrible.
He was awful, but that's why they fired him.
But the pad, the bumpers are shit.
Yeah, they are. They're not. It's not as good as the
really
Xbox 360 controller.
The games,
Again, that's exactly it. It's not as good as the one you had before.
I
Why
know.
have you fucked it up?
It seems like really obvious.
You had a
It's like,
really good one.
Yeah,
it
it's
worked.
bullshit.
You've not
the
made it better. You've made it worse.
games. This is not really a criticism specific to Xbox One. It's just the industry in general. There's just not very many exclusives around, is there?
I might
Not
use it
anymore.
when Tomb Raider comes out.
Tomb Raider's not even a proper exclusive,
No.
though, is it?
Timed. Yeah.
There's Halo. There's Forza. There's what else?
Forza was a big thing for me getting the Xbox One in the end.
Does an
It's
Xbox,
a lot more fun than GT.
Yeah.
It's a lot more fun.
Xbox
I
often
love them
gets.
both.
I do love
Yeah,
Gran
I love
Turismo
them
as
both.
well, but yeah, it's.
I can't
prefer
even
Forza
drive,
now.
and for some reason, I love these simulation driving games.
Same.
It's weird. I'm weird. I really like Drive Club, but this is not a PlayStation one.
But the Xbox One, it's a fine console, but like, it's just odd choices to go from the really goodness
They're
Xbox 360 times.
also going back to if they can catch up and blah blah blah. They're not just making changes in policy quickly, they're making changes to the console quickly. There's a lot of updates coming to the dashboard and everything that are actually changing things and modifying. There's going to be the new dashboard soon, which I already have because I'm on the preview thing,
That's
which,
right.
Whatever, it's fine.
It's fine.
But they are making these incremental updates much faster than, say, Sony is.
Yes.
Which Sony's just like one update every few months or something, and it's like minor bug fixes. You can see the Xbox kind of evolving, and it just feels a lot more positive. Feels like Sony's actually kind of lost the initiative somewhat. I don't know. And I love the PS4. I
mean, I've got most. I really love the PS4. I just like you talked about exclusives, and for me, that's the thing is there doesn't seem to be the same differentiation between the two platforms. And when I'm buying games or when I've got games to review or however they come at me, they either come at me on the PS4 or I choose to buy if I'm buying for it because it just there's a couple of exceptions, but generally the games seem to be running better on that.
Last generation, it was for at least 3/4 of it. They were
It's the
better
other
on
way around.
360, yeah.
Exactly.
Until people actually figured out how to work that obnoxious piece of crap, the PS3, to develop on. Yeah.
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 Well,
I like the PS4 best.
fair enough. I don't think there will ever be a time that Microsoft aren't making consoles. I think Microsoft have done a brilliant job at making consoles. They've contributed a lot to the gaming scene. They've done.
They
a lot
shook
of
it up.
good. Yeah, exactly.
Big time.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this Xbox
I think
special.
we should. I think we should.
You're holding a kazoo, like we're going to give Xbox
No, it's just, I've been
kazoos.
holding the kazoo the whole time.
Oh right, I was like, how many kazoos would Xbox? Yeah. Well, dare we?
I think it will get X number of kazoos.
Lovely.
Algebra.
And on that note, we'll see all you game friends
Algebra?
very soon. Take care, guys.
What?
Bye.
I think we're done.
We are, yeah.
Bye.